Hello, everyone. Welcome in to another edition of the Now We Know podcast, a podcast where we like to try to learn some new things about this crazy and chaotic action figure collecting hobby that we're into. And I'm excited today because I know we're going to learn some stuff because I am happy to welcome in to the show for the first time the creative driving force behind the currently funding MONSTORS Kickstarter. I want to welcome in Dave Igo to the show. Dave, man, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. Yeah, I'm first time on a lot of these things, so be gentle. Don't be too hard on me, you know?
It's got to be like busy and hectic, but awesome at the same time right now with everything that's going on with the Kickstarter, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like when you think, I'm an over preparer for anything, so I over prepared for this. And even still, I didn't have enough ready. I had no idea what I was getting into. I'm like, I know this is going to be a full-time job. It's like full-time plus overtime times 3.
Yeah.
It's like insane without the pay. There's no pay either.
Right, right. It's for the love of the game, right? That's
Totally.
why it's being done. Well, I absolutely want to talk about the Kickstarter and all of the details behind it with you, especially since it's open right now. But usually when I have people on for the first time, I just ask if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself, like your background and what you're doing and all of that too.
Yeah, so thanks for asking. I've been in the consumer products industry for 18 years. My first job was at Gentle Giant Studios as their first in-house concept designer.
Wow.
Then I was at Sideshow Collectibles for 10 years. I was designer turned manager turned art director. And then I've been with Tweeterhead for the last 4 years, which is like a really small statue company. I'm responsible for the He-Man's Legends statue line.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Merman's my guy, and woo,
Oh, thanks.
that's that merman statue of your guys' ooh, it's something else.
Oh, thanks. That was yeah, I worked on that with this artist, Amilcar Fong. He like we always it's a 2D, 3D hybrid process with design there. It's like I start with like a loose sketch, maybe, or sometimes like Amilcar's a really good sculptor designer. He can draw, but sometimes he just wants to design in ZBrush. So he did like a rough thing. I actually started with like this mini bust I did years ago. And so I did this little mini bus thing as like a starting off point for it. He took it, he evolved it, he did a rough 3D of it. We posed it, we did a rough 2D over that, submitted it to Mattel. They gave us thumbs up. Then Amilcar kept like designing in 3D with me. And we got to the result we got to. And he's one of the best. He just puts like this extra love and attention to everything he does. And yeah, I'm a merman guy too. I got into the international vintage variants rabbit hole starting in 2019. I have about 26 different mermans because of that.
Wow.
Thing.
All
Yeah,
right, all right. You get the crown for that one because that's going into territory that is a little frightening for me to be able to not only find that stuff but confirm that it's real and whatnot. So
I only bought from like a handful of people I knew that I trusted, and then they knew they were the librarians of the game, and like they're good guys. And so like I knew if I bought something from them, if they told me this is what it is, I just knew. I wasn't like, show me the stamp, show me the markings. Like I trust them, and they gave me stuff. So they're yeah, it's a dangerous rabbit hole to fall into, man. Don't do it. Save yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's so over your time, you've had an opportunity to work on a lot of stuff from a lot of different, areas and whatnot. And from what I can gather, mostly, as a part of a team with various companies, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's always, to me, it's always been a team effort. I mean, I have a twin brother and an older sister, so it's always like share everything, share credit. To me, it's never like one person's effort. It's always like, even with Tweeterhead, now that I'm the creative director there, Chad, the owner, is giving me like a lot of free reign to kind of like with the marketing and stuff too. It's I always put it out there. It's not like this artist. It's like this is the team that works on this Tweeterhead piece, not like a Dave Igo thing. It's like a Tweeterhead thing that I happen to be responsible for, and then this is the amazing team that gets to work on it. So I've always loved the team effort, and sometimes I'll have the idea and someone helps execute it and bring it to life. Sometimes I have a loose idea, someone has a better idea, I'm like, let's do that, and then we make their awesome idea. So love that, you know?
Well, it's cool to bring those awesome ideas to at least plastic or polystone life and
Yeah.
things like that. And I have to say, it's Sideshow and Tweeterhead are two in particular, because one of the highlights for like going to Comic-Con every year for me is to like walk through those areas and just
Yep.
see the amazing shit that's getting made,
Yeah.
and with new ideas and designs and stuff like that. So that's really cool. I'm positive to be a part of that. So that's really awesome, man.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I've been with Sideshow for 4 years, but a lot of people associate me with Sideshow because I was there for so long and I was on a lot of their live videos and stuff. And I'm just kind of a character, you know, when people run into me at shows or whatever, they're like, oh that guy. But man, this last two Comic Cons where Sideshow didn't have a booth, if I got $1 for every time someone's like, Dave, where's Sideshow? I'm like, you know I don't work there anymore. Like I could have bought like 2 or 3 Chipotle burritos with that money, you know, like, all those asks.
Yeah,
Solid
that
free lunch.
I always called it the Sideshow Museum when we'd go in there, because it was like
Yeah.
it was really like walking through that and whatnot. But yeah, but seeing stuff like that is always a real thrill for me. But now you are kind of doing things. I don't want to say on your own, because I'm positive that you've got some people helping you out, but you are bringing a brand new action figure line to life via Kickstarter right now, right?
Yeah, and yeah, so it's a separate effort from Tweeterhead, which I'm still working with, and then I have a new statue company I start with my business partner Todd Johnson. We have a company called Spec. No, that's his company. Sorry, he owns Speculative Fiction. We started Reventure Studios together, and we have the Frazetta license. We're making Frazetta statues, which is cool. But
Yeah.
my passion has always been like creating new stuff, and I'm an '80s kid, you know, so I love like I was born in '83, so I got like the later He-Man stuff, and
Mhm.
I got my cousin's hand-me-down bin of He-Man toys.
Yeah.
So that's how I was introduced to He-Man. And then Ninja Turtles and like, you know, like those are like the main two ones from my childhood.
Those
Dino
are mine
Riders.
too.
Yeah, Dino Riders is huge for me. Like aliens with T-Rexes with lasers on their head. I'm like, what is that? Like that's totally a huge part of my DNA. And then like all the weird stuff of like that Ratfik inspired with like a lot of the Madball stuff and Garbage Pail Kids and all the weird stuff. So that's where I was like, I knew I wanted to make something, and I was looking at my toy collection, and I was like, what don't I have that I want, and what do I love? Like, what's that perfect Venn diagram? And I realized the things I really gravitate towards are like the buff tribal barbarian dudes, but then the cool
Yeah.
looking like animal guys. Like I love He-Man. But let's be honest, like you get 9 awesome villains for every one okay hero. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's hard to beat. Like it's hard to compete with Skeletor and Trapjaw and Merman, our guy, and Beastman, and like Spikor and Whiplash and Clawfoot. It's like, man, what they're stacked. You know,
I,
they're so stacked.
I'm definitely a bad guy when it comes to most lines like that. So I totally agree with you.
Yeah. And I just feel like there's no reason why good guys can't look cool too, if that makes sense. I'm not saying like I finally made a cool looking good guy and they've never existed. But I mean, when you look at this, I hope it's like, oh yeah, Sting Cobra looks like the bad guy. And I can't tell if Shaman was good or bad, but they both look cool was my goal. You know, I just want them
Yeah.
both to look like equally cool. And some people tell me like, oh, Sting Cobra's easily better, but so far the sales are pretty much neck and neck with the two of them. I think like between the single figure sales, they're neck and neck. And then there's like a ton of sets that have sold too. So that feels good. Feels like I have a good balance thing. Not like, oh, this character sells 20 for every one this guy might sell, you know? So
Yeah. Well, I can definitely appreciate and relate to kind of like the spheres of influence where you're talking about coming from. But I also have to tell you, man, I love seeing new concept and proprietary ideas pop up in this hobby, because they're getting, I think, fewer and far further between at this point. But seeing Shimumu and Sting Cobra as guys that are like all brand new in concept and ideas, but how they just have a little bit of familiarity to them, I think is a
yeah.
really, really cool way to go.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I know some people get when they have a new creation, it's like their baby. If you compare it to anything else, they get really weird about it.
Hmm.
When I brought Shamumu to the first designer con, the first con that he was, which was designer con, like I only had him and I had concept art for Sting Cobra and other characters in front of him, but people immediately like, oh, Street Sharks, love Street Sharks. And it's like, I wasn't mad about it. It's like, oh, cool, it's channeling something for them.
Uh-huh.
And that's why I was glad I had Steen Cobra as my next character. So when they see them together, it still channels like, oh, I love extreme dinosaurs. I love this stuff. But then it hopefully gives them their own DNA. So you totally hit on something I want to go for is familiar. I don't want to go for something so new I have to explain it. People can see it and they get it. And then if I explain it, it makes it like more meaningful, you know?
Well, and going through the Kickstarter and whatnot, just looking at this image, I have to tell you, to me, it's hard for me to find a higher compliment to give than to say these two brand new guys that you have come up with through your own creative process look every bit as home with some of the most iconic and like memorable, action figures that have been done. To me, that's me being extremely complimentary, and I think it's something that speaks to the ability to have an original concept but be able to make it work within like a broader scope, right?
Yeah, and that means the world to me, seriously, because that's what I want. I don't want these to be like they're so unique that they don't work with anything else. I wanted them to fit right, almost literally right between He-Man and Ninja Turtles. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I want I as a creative, I love it when new ideas pop up, and I'm like, what is the next He-Man and Ninja Turtles? Like, there's some stuff out there, but I'm like, maybe this could be it. Not saying like I just created the next billion-dollar franchise, but like I don't know. Someone's got to take that step forward and fill that niche, or that
Yeah.
need. I hope this fills it to some degree. And so far, sales are doing pretty good on the Kickstarter. We just went live yesterday with Big Bad Toy Store,
Yeah.
and Joel gave me some good numbers this morning in just the first 24 hours. Like he sold way more than I thought he would, and I'm like, holy cow! So it's pretty likely this will get funded. But like, I'm pretty optimistic. It means a lot. Like you said, something totally new. People are getting an email blast from Big Bad saying, here's this new thing, MONSTORS, and then hundreds of people are buying them on his store that don't know what they are. It's
Yeah.
just like a new thing, and that just means the world to me. So
Well, it's awesome, and I've been through the Kickstarter journey, and you've got a few days left, but you're kind of in that spot where it's like you can see the end, but it's like that really uncertain time. But it's awesome to be able to have an outlet outside of something like Kickstarter, like Big Bad Toy Store, because I know different people are comfortable with different ways of getting their hands on stuff. So whatever outlets that you can help bring them to, I think that's awesome to have both options like that available for this.
you totally nailed it too. Like I went back and forth this for a while because like the Brutal Realm guys kept like promoting Big Bad carrying their stuff. I'm like, isn't that competing? Like you keep talking about Big Bad and that's like pulling away direct sales from you. Then seeing what Big Bad did for them with like, their huge bump, like I say bump, like it's like they did crazy with them. And so I went back and forth on this a little bit. Then Joel, like, I got introduced to Joel from Big Bad through a mutual friend,
Mhm.
and we had like a 40-minute conversation. The guy is such a cool dude. He's
Yeah,
like,
he's a nice guy.
I want your Kickstarter to succeed. So if your figures are up for 55, I'll sell them for 59.99. If you're shipping them for about $10 domestically, I ship $5 domestically. That puts them within a $1 range of each other. And I just knew a friend told me, he's like, there are some people that will only buy from Big Bad. They just
Hmm.
will. It's like some people will only buy from Amazon. Some
Yep.
people will only buy through Sideshow. So it's like, all right, let's do it. And, Joel gave me some time. Like I got all these assets ready for Joel. I put it up, and it's just like the other great thing about it's such a marketing opportunity because, his email blast has to reach like, I don't even know what his newsletter outreach is, but it's insane, and
Yeah.
just like everyone got this concentrated, like only monsters, not like buried in a thing, but that like that happened. That to me is like more awesome than anything was knowing like someone like Joel liked this so much they'll have that potential is willing to like use a whole email blast for the dang thing. And the sales are there to show like people are willing to buy new stuff if it, kind of clicks with them in one way.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because just in the short time that we've been talking, we've kind of talked about, like the influences and then like that ability to connect with people in different ways with like appeal and the creativity part of it. But I was hoping that maybe to like kind of fill in like the middle of that is can you take us a little bit through like your creative process and whatnot and the things that, kind of helped develop these two characters into what we're seeing as their, I guess, final form.
Yeah, totally. So I've I've worked at, three different companies, all various sizes of what their operation is, and I have found no one project is like another, and
Mm-hmm.
no artist is like another, and no anything is like another. Whenever anyone tries to make like, let's make this one process for everything to fit into, I think it's a goal for efficiency, I understand, but like the more you can be dexterous and just like be flexible with like, all right, what am I going for? What's my objective and who are my team members? Just know that's going to be a totally different recipe than this other objective with these team members. It's like you're baking two different things. You're
Mm-hmm.
making two different kinds of meals. Like this thing you're grilling, this thing is like bakery.
Yeah.
Grilling is a lot more like I'm just gonna eyeball it and like keep it on there for so long, flip it every once in a while, and then baking is like exact
Precise.
measurement and
Yeah.
exact. It's like a science,
Yeah.
right? And I've never liked the science approach. Like sometimes you have to have the science in the back of your head, so you're kind of figuring things out. But like you got to keep a lot of like room for flexibility for like your gut instinct, which is
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to like pin that down because when I was at Sideshow, it's a huge company. It's really hard to go into like a big business meeting with like all these, you know, higher tier directors with spreadsheets and marketing. You're like, all right, my gut says this. I'm like, we need data. It's like, well, I don't know how to give you data on what I
Right.
think looks cool. And, it's not saying I'm right about everything. I've definitely been wrong about stuff. So I approach things very open minded and not scared of being wrong or like failing. I always look at failure as like an opportunity to grow, just kind of like try
Mm-hmm.
things out. And to me, it's only, and this is like a cliche, I'm sure a million people have said, but it's only failure if you keep like doing it again. And you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's not working. I better try it again the exact same way. Oh, I better try it again the exact same way. And it keeps failing. It's like, dude, all right, stop it. Like learn and grow, right?
Yeah.
With this one, with Monstors, I had an original idea. So the name Monstors already exists. I had like a generic, like a buff body dude. And I was just going to do different heads and different arms. It's going to be like very much like a strong guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a Frankenstein head, I had a Krampus head, I had a Triceratops head. Then I had clean arms, hairy arms, scaly arms, and that was going to be the beginning of it. And the
Yeah.
ores was still there. So for the interswappability of like, or this, or this, or this, where you can just like mix match body parts.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's where the whole idea came from. I
That's
think if you scroll
awesome.
down, I think they show. I think I put the
Yeah.
photos in there that shows the. So that shows the like
Exploded
the
view.
swivel part. So it's very much I lean into the classic toy stuff, and it's got me a lot of flack from articulation junkies. I totally get it. They want like elbow joints or double elbows and double knees, but I'm like, I want classic He-Man Ninja Turtles that can stand upright. So I have like no leg articulation. People keep giving me shit about it. I'm like, dude, I just want figures that can stand. I can like move their arms. They look cool.
Yeah.
And then you put it on yourself. Like I don't touch my He-Man or Ninja Turtle. Like, there you are. Like little, not statues, but like you want a little bit of something. But then, all right, there they are. But
Well,
yeah,
and there's
so
room in the market for all kinds of different things like that. If like it was all the same, it wouldn't be interesting.
yeah, totally. Like Brutal Realm recently did like their super highly articulated stuff, which is great. And I'm like, I want this. So
Mhm.
that second it shows the head swapping with the arms on each
Yeah.
figure. And that's to me is like the fun thing. It's kind of like a gateway to people being able to create their own stuff. Like a lot of people are action figure customizers, and that's great, but there's like a certain skill set entry point for that or desire that this makes it easier. Just boop, boop, boop. And even with like Mythic Legions or other figures that it's kind of like or like He-Man Origins figures where you can literally just like snap things off. It's not really part of the branding of the IP. And so to me, I really wanted to lean into that and make it like a feature that's celebrated. Even in the name, like the ores is like ores,
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
So yes, I had this idea for this. I looked at my stuff and I'm like, this is what I want to do. I had this loose idea of like animal mashup, buff brawler bros. I called up the Erwin Papa, who's the designer. I'm like, just start designing it. And he did some passes. Then we had like some phone calls. We talked about what worked, what didn't work. We came up with rules for ourselves. So I didn't approach this from the get-go like, I know exactly what it needs to be. It was like, here's a starting point for us to discuss. We had a discussion. He did some drawings. We had another discussion. And it kind of like evolved into what is you're seeing now is like the work. This is actually a work in progress prototype. We're pushing the sculpt a little bit more for part production need, part I wanted him to match Sting Cobra a little bit more detail wise, nothing crazy. But yeah, so for me with the creative process in general should be very organic. And some people have like their way for their stuff. Like I'm sure, like if I were just to work on my own, I do a lot of my own ZBrush stuff, like creature bus and fan art bus. I kind of start all those the same way, where I usually start with the head and work into the bus and fiddle around until it looks good.
Yeah.
But this wasn't just me. It was like roping in an artist, then giving that to a point, like getting the art to a point, giving it to a 3D artist and having them evolve it, looking at what worked in 2D and then editing the 3D and then evolving the 3D beyond the 2D. Some people like love having like control art, like they draw it, it has to look exactly like this, and the sculptor executes, and that works great for a lot of stuff. I've never been a fan of that. I like, here's the starting point, and then let's go. And then see where the path, like kind of go on the path together. And that can be frustrating for some people, and I totally respect that. But that's why you find the team that you work great with and you have good chemistry with, and you trust each other, have mutual respect. I don't ask for like a billion free revisions from any of my artists. I'm like, I always make them charge me hourly. I'm like, Erwin, how much time did you spend on this? Hey, Tiago, Ariel, like Tiago's one sculptor, Ariel's another one. I'm like, how much time did you spend on this? And I have them bill me for the hours, because I know what my process is, and that can be frustrating. So I want them to feel appreciated for that. So
yeah, no, that's cool. And you mentioned the working relationship and the trust that comes with something like that, because to your point, I think some people, just if they don't have that type of creative relationship that they can share with somebody else, they may not have a choice but to go with some of those more traditional control art routes and things like that. But I think that when you do have that, amazing things can happen that were never on the page, and it really helps bolster what the final product is going to be, right?
yeah, and I like surprises. I like the unknown a little bit. I don't want to like, I want to be a fortune teller where I know exactly what it is. I'm going to force it to get to exactly that in 3 months. You know what I mean? Like, I like the starting, and then I think it's going to be, oh, that's cool. Like, fun. It's like you're going on an adventure with each other. It's like when you watch Game of Thrones, you didn't read the books. You're like, whoa, they killed that guy. Like, oh my God, there's a dragon.
They killed every guy.
Yeah, they killed every guy. Oh my God, what? They're related? Oh my God. Like, it's like that. I like that with the creation process, where like you have an idea of where it's going, and then a surprise happens. It can be a good surprise. It can be a bad surprise too. Those happen plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the as you talked about the swappability, especially like when you start with your foundational pieces of kind of being combinative in the first place, that I think that helps facilitate the swapping out and building out, different ways that these guys can be displayed on their own, but then together and mixed up, and it looks different, but there's almost like a natural progression even between the two figures and the parts that they can swap that makes sense when you look at it like this, right?
Yeah, it's because it's kind of bizarre. I think the fact that each character is already like an animal hybrid mashup, like you have an orca cow bull guy, then you have a scorpion cobra guy. It like already makes you feel like, all right, this is already accepted. So now when you do it, it's not as bizarre. It's like, yeah bizarre because now the colors are getting wackier, but it's like it's kind of already accepted. I didn't even think of that until you just kind of mentioned it. I'm like, yeah, this is why. Awesome. I'm a genius. Totally intentional.
Well, and again, I think it kind of like lends itself to the fact that, you could have, hundreds, thousands of people who, back your Kickstarter and have these figures in hand. And, there may not be two people that have things exactly the same way, because they have the ability to, use that kind of, as you mentioned, use your creativity as a springboard into their own, to really push something to the next level that is meaningful to them, right?
Yeah, I love that. Like you said, that it's like I'm giving them, or they're getting their own ownership over it, and then they can share like, oh, you did that. Not saying there's like that many combinations to do yet, but yeah, like in my toy commercial, the more monsters you get, the more monsters you can make. Like, funds. And there's variants. We did like a unique sculpt head variant for each character, so it's new paint. If you scroll down a wee little bit, I think it's so after Shamumu and Sting Cobra, it shows, it might be the sets. And I'd love to talk about the donation set after this, but just to keep on, if you scroll down a little bit more, it gets to the
there we go. Yeah,
so that's like a new head and a new weapon and a new paint to make a new character.
Yeah,
so he's a Shamumu. I call him a unique character variant.
Yeah,
and then beneath him is Ven Nom Nom, and he's a Sting Cobra new head. He actually originally had the hand and the knife, but
Uh-huh.
I'm including the hand and the knife with Sting Cobra too because it's like too cool. So
Yeah.
just a unique head with a new paint job, but I'm justifying it because like the tail's so involved. So like even though Shamumu gets like a new weapon or whatever, like Sting Cobra is more of an involved figure. He actually cost me a little bit more per figure to make. So I'm like, I'm just all right, he gets only a new head. But
Yeah.
yeah, so now with these characters, you get even more combinations of like colors and like now you have two new head sculpts. You get new colored arm variant. Like, and I love these colors. Red Nom Noms
I,
might be secretly my favorite visually of all four, you
well,
know?
I was going to say that yes, he does have new and different some new and different parts to him, but it's like when something is a different color presented a different way, even if it's maybe like the same piece, details come out to you differently when you see it.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm seeing stuff on this one, that like my eye wasn't drawn to on, on the regular Sting Cobra. So it's like that builds a lot on itself, and I think that's really cool.
I never even thought of it that way. That's you're teaching me a lot about I'm like, because it is true. Like I used to be a huge McFarlane toy collector with like early
Mhm.
Spawn stuff through like Wave 14. And it always got weird with color variants because they felt like, oh, they're not the original one. They're like the inferior one. But then later on, I learned to like love a lot of the colors more.
Yeah.
And they always did look different to me. And you totally hit on it. Like it brings out details in a different way that you don't notice originally, or like you say, you just see differently. And then the
Yeah.
color, like, it's a totally different experience. So actually beneath these guys, we offer them in sets. Like, yeah, just
Mhm.
like regular Shamu Musing Cobra, they're $55 each, or the set is $99. You save $11
Yeah.
buying the set of them. And I made a little bit more of a discount in case you wanted four, and you can really mix them. We can keep one set as is. You can mix and match the other one, but the color variants we're
Yeah,
getting
that's awesome.
I want to make these like really meaningful. So I did what I'm calling color swap variants. So this is Shamumu and Sting Cobra colors. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, so which I thought was cool. Then you have Sting Cobra and Shamumu colors. So someone got Shamumu, they got the Sting Cobra. They could put this Sting Cobra arm on their Shamumu and then it would gel. And so I want to
Yeah.
give you that option, you
And,
know?
and I'm telling you, man, the color transitions right here from the different blues on the claw, that's hot. I like that a lot.
So this is a digital mock-up. So I hope like
Sure.
when we get the actual prototypes, we get really close to this by trying to put that everywhere like digital mock-up or digital work in progress. Like
Yeah.
because yeah, you know this, like anything you do in Photoshop isn't always necessarily like replicated in the factory. So I try to make it like this is the intention. Fingers
Yeah.
crossed we get as close to this as possible. But I love how this guy came out. Looks like he's like glowing, you
Yeah,
know?
I think as a colorway, this may be my favorite of the group, and
Oh, cool.
he looks really really great there. I want to talk through all of these for sure, but I did want to mention as we go along because it's like the devil's in the details and the little details. Man, I am such a sucker for little companion
Oh
characters
yeah.
that like Ninja Turtles did and stuff like that. So to see that here, that gets me right here, man. So I love seeing that stuff.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was like a last second thing before this last designer con. Like literally 10 days before designer con, I'm like, I want little buddies for these guys. So I hit up my
Yeah.
buddy for Flork. He designed them. My buddy Mark Newman co-sculpted the starfish with me, and my buddy Ariel Moramis co-sculpted the camel spider with me. And we got them 3D printed and painted like all within 10 days. And I
Wow.
had it displayed. I was like, they just bring it felt like monsters were really cool before and now they're like a real thing when they got their
Yeah.
blood like and it totally 100% Ninja Turtles, all the Playmates stuff, like my Earthworm Jim figures all have like little buddies too, and I just love that. I have a bunch of Keshi collectibles too,
Yeah.
and I just love that. So yeah, I thought it'd be a fun thing to work in, you
It
know.
definitely is. And then you got some glows too, right?
Yeah, it seems like people love glow in the dark. So
Hmm.
I want to go like the injection glow route. So it'd be just like Super 7 and NECA figures. So yeah, I mean these are just mock-ups, but that's like the intentions. Go for like a limited color palette, but you still get that tonal
Yeah.
range within it. So you get like the darks and the glow really pops in certain areas. So yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, these are my photoshops because my garage door does not glow in the dark. You know, it's like this is the intention. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. you know?
No. That's great, and it gives you a chance to it gives you a chance to get other things out there that appeal to different tastes and whatnot, while still helping kind of support the the foundational and the key components of this. So it's cool because it's like somebody might say, hey, you know what, I'm a glow in the dark collector, and it's like I'll get these if they glow in the dark. So here are the options, and I assume
Oh,
that these all still swap out with the standard
yep.
figures too. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So if you got like a glow in the dark Sting Cobra, regular Sting Cobra, glow in the dark arm, like a power arm or something. And like you
For
said,
that tail and glow in the dark.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Yeah.
cool. And like you said, some people just collect glow in the dark, and that's like their thing. Like,
Hmm.
so I just want to have like that. And also, as you know, with like tooling costs, this helps amortize that
Yep.
across like more things instead of me trying to push like just these two figures and sell 3,000 of each one. It's like, well, now I only have to worry about like 1,500 of each one. Not saying these are my numbers, but like
Right.
as a generalization, like now I can spread it across like Bulltooth, Ven Nom Nom, these paint swap variants, the glow in the dark, and the next ones, which are my Kickstarter exclusive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got my translucent blue because Shamumu's from the water, obviously.
Uh-huh.
So blue makes sense.
Yeah.
And my production manager, Chris Garwich, who works for the Four Horsemen
Hmm.
Studios,
Yep.
had his Kickstarter for the Biblical Adventures figures. He was like, you have to do a Kickstarter exclusive, and you should do clear because it's a single color injection. It's a single injection, one color paint, and it's just like it's great. So I opted for this instead of going for like an unpainted gray because
Hmm.
I realized this like the last second before we launched, like gray just feels like anti MONSTORS. Like it's so
Yeah.
colorful and stuff. I'm just like, it has to be color. So I might someone threw out the idea of like doing a Keshi variant color of them as like a stretch.
Oh yeah.
And then so I thought that might be a really cool thing. That way if someone like buys 5 figures, they're all the same color. But
Yeah.
then it ties to something else like Keshi, and then it also has a color to it. It's not just gray. So I
Right.
might that would be something I look at like as a either a stretch goal, like, hey, surprise, doing another thing. Like
Yeah.
this
Well,
guy.
I love the consideration for both of those styles because number one, I'm also a sucker for translucent figures when it like thematically fits, which I think you're doing a great job with here because it's like so many people's like displays and whatnot. It's like lighting and stuff like that has gotten so like customizable and portable. It's like there is nothing cooler to me than seeing like a translucent figure that's kind of lit up from the bottom so that like you can
Yeah.
just see it, and it's almost otherworldly. So that's cool. But the Keshi part too, I love the idea thematically of like color matching to that. But that said, there is something about seeing something that is intricate as far as like the details go, like these guys, being able to see them in that one solid color. It's like it gives you almost another deeper appreciation for like the sculpting details and work that's going on there because it's like paint enhances that, but at the same time it's like when it's like flat, when the paint flattens and it's only one color, it's like you even again notice things that you wouldn't have maybe picked up on before as well.
Oh, 100%. That's something like with translucent, I thought maybe you'd get that. These are actually digital
Hmm.
renders, which I think are really close to like what they would look like. But
Yeah.
then you don't get to appreciate that stuff the same way, like you said. So I think like that totally opaque, like single color thing really lets me, and like white's not good, black's not good for it either, because it's like they both are like on the extreme color spectrum. So something
Yeah.
in the middle, like something of a neutral. So I think like that Keshi flesh tone will be exactly what like that mid-tone gray would capture, and then also keeps it like, oh, it still now has a color, and then it also works with Keshi figures. So I'm like, this is I forgot I need to find out who suggested. It was either a comment on the Kickstarter or a YouTube video from one of the other lives I was on, but someone's recommended. I'm like, I didn't even think of that. That's awesome. Because
Yeah.
we do have beneath them, I think in the add-ons, I actually made it a pledge tier. But I'm offering just the little buddies on their own. So there's like stickers, people like
Stickers.
stickers,
Yeah.
of course, doing a digital art of PDF book that would be easy for me to make. I don't have to worry about printing it and shipping it. It's just kind of like, hey, while you're waiting on your figures, here's a digital download of all this cool concept art that Erwin, Christopher, and a bunch of other people worked on. But then there's like it's a digital
Yeah.
mock-up, but like people want just the figures, like just the little buddies.
Yeah.
Get them now, because originally it was going to be just an add-on, but then I've had a lot of people like, dude, I only collect this stuff. Can you make it
Right.
just a pledge? And so I did that, and I've gotten like a handful of people, of not a ton, but it's like enough to like, oh, this is cool. People it made it accessible them,
Well,
you know.
and little stuff like that, like you said, if like you're set up at a con or something like that, those are great things for people to be able to pick up at
Yeah.
conventions. It's like, okay, maybe I can't go in for a full action figure, but being able to pick up two guys like this is awesome. So I really
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Dang. And now if I do the Keshi variant of Shamu Musing Cobra, it's like
it'll all go together.
it all works together, you know. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got some weapons packs that you're going to be featuring as well.
yeah, and I just for the rush to get things up on on the site, but for launch, we only had time to do like the gray render. So I'm working with the art like a digital artist right now to get like a. I should have had this way faster. I could have done it in Photoshop. I'm an idiot. So he's working with me now, and I'm hoping to have that updated by Monday. So we'll have like a complete Kickstarter with everything kind of like I mean, minus digital mock-ups, obviously, but pretty much what the end look for everything is supposed to look like. Not like this is a grayscale concept art of this thing we might. It's like no, I want people to see as close as possible, like what we're aiming for. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
That
weapons are cool. That way, we have a C, we have a trident, and then we have
yeah.
just a beefy sword and beefy, and they're big. Like without context, these look just like they're weapons. But
Mhm.
that trident is like as big as the harpoon that Bulltooth comes with, and that axe and that sword they're chunky. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
show the weapons with the characters probably in a update next week sometime to show like what
Awesome.
they actually look like in context of the figures. So
Awesome. Well, I like the stylistically and I like the detail of it, especially that trident. I mean, that looks like something that was like pulled out from the very deepest depths, you know. So
we're
that's
merman
cool.
guys. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
no, we're merman guys. I had to get it in there.
yeah. But you have, a lot. You have different tiers to kind of like help everybody just find the one that works best for them, which I think is a hallmark of every conceptually successful Kickstarter is to give people the options, because the last thing you want is for somebody to say, well, I like this and I like this, but I'm not going to do it because I can't do that just on its own or whatever. It's like giving people options is the way to go for sure.
Yeah, it's hard because it's a fine line of too many options and then
Yeah.
not enough options. Because I went into this like I want it to be clean. I didn't even want color variants. I only had Shamumu, Sting Cobra, and then Bulltooth, then Nom Nom. And then
Hmm.
Chris is like, dude, you have to get a glow in the dark, and people love glow in the dark. Right. So that's where like that conversation kind of started. And then even with like the all-ins, I wanted it to be really clean and clear. It's like, oh, here's all in the main figures one, and then all in standard two is like two of everything in case someone
Yeah.
loves them that much or wants to buy a set and gift a set or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like then from there it's like bronze '01 introduces the color swaps with all the other stuff. It's not like wait, what
Yeah.
are you getting? It's like, hey, I'm adding these two to it. And then bronze 2 is just it's two of everything from bronze 1. It's real
Yeah.
clean. And then silver introduces the glow in the dark figures, and you get all the same stuff you get. And then silver 2 is two of everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I try to make it like as dumb proof as possible. And then gold introduces the Kickstarter exclusives. And then gold '02 is everything times two.
Times two.
Yeah. So that was fun. And then another thing I really wanted to push, this was something earlier we kind of like touched on for a second, but I had retailer exclusives
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
specials.
Yeah.
I had a bunch of people at DesignerCon say like, I have a small comic book shop. I'd love to buy these wholesale. So I try to make it like not, oh, it's 50% off for everyone no matter what, but like, hey, depending on how many you get a bigger discount.
Right.
That would make sense for me because dude, my margins are so thin on this. Like, it's like when you're a small operator, I'm not Mattel or Hasbro. I'm not moving
Right.
mass.
Right.
And yeah, the sculpts are insane and the paints are insane. So I'm like, dude, I'm not making any money on this until I hit like insane numbers. So even if I get my funding 120K, I might break even or I might be like still $5,000 out of pocket. I'm not totally sure yet. So I'm hoping like, and then the more it goes up, the more money, then I'm amortizing my tooling across more units. Then the more units I have, the factory might give me a little bit of a discount on my unit costs. So eventually one day I might make some money on this. So even my retailer specials are still like, oh man, if I only hit this much, I'm losing money. So hopefully I hit this much. Then I'm like, all right, cool. I'm only making $2 for a retailer set. All right, whatever. Just like the important thing is for me to get these out and in the world, and I want them to reach as many people as possible, make that as affordable as possible. I know $55 seems like a lot, but hopefully when people see these things, they know it's like a small operation. I pay my artists like their rates. I'm not like nickel and diming them down or anything like that. Like some of them, because their buds will like help me out a little bit, but I try to make it like it's artist friendly. I'm paying all my artists. I'm trying to push these as much as I can. I'm not gonna like cash my check from this Kickstarter, buy a Porsche and disappear. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not happening. And so another thing I did was I made it for people that might not like them or they're not their thing. Like, oh, I'm into super articulated stuff, and I get it. I made a donation tier set. So up a little bit, I added a tier that was it was like if a set for so each figure is $55, a set for a buyer is $99, a gift set's like $80. So I knocked off another like $19 from it. And that's like any donation set I take and I'll donate it to charities like Toys for Tots or Children's Hospital
Oh,
or something
wow.
there. Yeah, down a little bit. Sorry,
Oh,
you just
sorry.
yeah, nope, there,
Sorry.
nope,
There it went.
Crazy, but it's right before Bulltooth Then Nom Nom, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, and I made that. Oh, there's a set time 2, set time 1, then donation sets right above it. Yeah,
There we go.
so
Yep. Sorry.
no, it's totally cool. It's like, and this is a weird thing with like trying to organize things in Kickstarter. Like it shows up one way on the campaign, and then on your actual pledges bar, it'll list it in numerical order.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it drives me nuts. It'll be like all in standard 1, all in bronze 1, all in silver 1, all in standard 2, all in like gold 1. I'm like, what the hell? Like it's so messy. I hate it. I hate it. I spent all this time working on this and just like, nope, fuck you, just and just like ruin it. Dang it. So yeah, the donation set, I just want to make it so like there is an option if anyone's doing okay financially and they just don't want them themselves, or if they want them themselves, they can still buy a set. You don't pay any shipping, anything. I'm taking this and giving it right to children's hospitals and Toys for Tots. And then I'm actually losing $2 on every one of these I sell up until I hit like a certain amount. Like even if I only hit $120,000 for my funding goal, I think based on the units that would be, unless Big Bad really, I think Big Bad's turning up with great sales for us, by the way. But I still might, at a certain scenario, I'm losing $2 a gift set. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm also adding $2. So this is not like something where like I fudge the numbers, I'm making money on this, like literally donating them. And then if I hit a number, like a quantity wise, we're like, oh, now these actually make $5 or $10 a set. I'm going to take that money and then buy more sets and donate it to kids. So like anything from this tier is going to be donated. Like it's not like not a single penny from this tier will go into my pocket or anything else. It'll just go to that. And then additionally, every 20 sets I sell, not including Big Bad or wholesale or the all in stuff, because I'm already like losing like working the numbers on those, but like normal, oh, you bought the normal figures or like a set. For every 20 sets I sell, I'm donating a set to add to this bundle too.
Wow.
So I really want to get these out to like kids any way I can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's awesome, and that is a unique feature that I know that I don't come across at least very often with things like this. So that's really cool because you know what, they're fun. The point is to have fun toys, right? And you know, it's I like to say that I can experience, you know, a new like action figure or something on several different levels, but man, there's just something about a kid being able to experience it that it's just something that is unique to them, and it's really awesome. So that's a cool idea, man.
Thanks, man. And I don't know if anyone's really done this before, not to like pat myself on the back or whatever, but I hope it's like one of those things that catches on and other people can, when they're looking at doing this stuff, they can maybe find a way to make it happen too, because like I was very fortunate. I don't come from a broken home. My parents were like okay financially, me growing up, so I had awesome Christmases. Me, my brother, my sister, we'd come down, we'd all have like at least 1 or 2 gifts each. I remember my big memory as a kid was me and my brother each had one huge box, and we tore them open, and I got the T-Rex from Dino Riders and he got the Brontosaurus from Dino Riders, and we're
nice.
Like, whoa. And I know a lot of people don't have that, you know, like that history or that fortune like that, you know, they weren't lucky to be born into an awesome family like I had. And I like, if there's kids out there struggling or whatever, then they can get this and it just brings them a little bit more joy and makes them the next toy collector, then awesome. You know, like more kids need that experience, you know.
Yeah, I absolutely, and yeah, it's a great idea, and I'm so glad to see that happen. And hearing this story, I feel like that's going to be an additional pledge level that I'm going to put in for that because I really want to see something like that happen. So that's awesome. But
Man.
man, just everything that has gone into this is just it's calculated, but at the same time it's creative and it's got this almost whimsy to it that it's like, yeah, these are like what proportionally and design and colors and whatnot. These are the toys that uh, they're toys. It's like I'm all about having those action figures that it's like, holy crap, that's a Bela Lugosi in my hand right there. But then there's also it's like these are freaking toys, and these are
Yeah.
freaking toys, man, and that's awesome.
Thanks, man. That's what I wanted. It always gets. I might have called them action figures because of like search mechanics
Sure.
or
Yeah, 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 yeah.
like, but still like that's what I wanted. I'm not like shying away from it either with like showing people like the what some people call is limited articulation, like classic. Like, is
Mhm.
it to me? It's classic. I'm not trying to like spin it in a positive way. It's like just that's what I think of it as, and like it's great. You hit on a point like what we talked about earlier, like that. It was part measured, part chaos. Part
Yeah.
like just artistic gut, weird. That's cool. Then part was like, I want something that's halfway between He-Man, Ninja Turtles, but this, and this. And I appreciate you recognizing that, and I think that's a part of why people are really connecting with them is because there was a lot of consideration for him. It wasn't just like this complete random nonsense.
Yeah.
Only a little, only a little complete random nonsense.
Well, I love them, man, and awesome work on this. I'm glad to see that Kickstarter's got about 19 days left as of this recording. We'll get this up early next week, so there'll be a few days left at that time. But you're over halfway there from a pledge perspective. You can get them on Kickstarter. I just searched MONSTORS on Kickstarter.com, so you'll find them right away. But they're also available, as you said, on Big Bad Toy Store for those that don't want to go the Kickstarter route. So that's cool too. So it's like if you dig these and you want to be a part of it, you've got some options to be able to do so. So get out there and do it.
Thanks, man. And I don't know if you have one. Do you want to play the toy commercial or would it?
Well,
I don't know.
I was gonna say you've been putting together some slick things to go through with this. So I was going to say I'll drop the link to the commercial, which we'll still do, but we can absolutely play that well as long as you're.
It's the one above it. That's my talking head one. This is the toy. I swapped them at one point because everyone told me like you have to make the toy commercial the main one. So
all right, well let's do it then.
An epic new toy line of beastly buff brawler bros battling it out to see who will reign supreme. MONSTORS!
I'm Shamumu, the oceanic battle boss. And I'm Sting Cobra, the venomous spike scoundrel.
Who will win this epic battle between the first two MONSTORS?
You're going down, Sting Cobra. Not a chance with that ugly mug.
MONSTORS come with interchangeable parts so you can create your very own MONSTOR! Like this. Or this. Or this. Or this. Don't just get one. The more MONSTORs you have, the more MONSTORs you can make. And every MONSTOR comes with their own little buddy. Aw, aren't they cute? But in the end, only one can reign supreme.
You haven't seen the last from me, Shamumu.
By land, sky, or sea, MONSTORs battle by the law of tooth and claw, as is the way of MONSTORS! Collect them all, each sold separately. New from Igo Stuff.
Got the stuff?
yeah, I don't know if all that audio made it in there, but it's just like one of the funniest. Every time I watch it, still I laugh because my buddy Aaron LaPlante did the voice for the main MONSTORs. I did all the other low voices, but he does the caveman spear from that cartoon show Primal. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I met him through a mutual friend of ours, Jeff May, and when I met him, I knew that was the voice he did, and this came up. I'm like, do you want to do the voice in this toy commercial? He's like, I would love to. And when he sent me it was a second take where he screamed MONSTORS, I died. I was like, this is what I want. I just want that weird, like, early 90s extreme Mountain Dew, you know, kind of yelling everything. Because I think like the early 80s didn't have as much of that, but like I think the 90s became a lot more of like pizza, tacos, Mountain Dew, you know.
Well, I was going to say, I appreciate the conversation and all the details and things that we talked about, but man, 90 seconds worth of selling the sizzle in that commercial is going to do things that nothing else can. So I think it works really, really well with it.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was fun.
Well, Dave, man, I really appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule in the thick of the Kickstarter to come and chat with us about MONSTORS, because they're freaking awesome. I have full confidence that they are going to fund and they are going to be brought into this world, and it's going to be a better place for that. So congratulations, and I can't wait to see what's next, man.
Dude, thanks a bunch, Veebs, for having me on, and thank you everyone for watching. If you have any questions, comment. I read all the comments, I answer, you know, or through the Kickstarter, whatever you need. I'm very accessible. So thank you for the opportunity to let me hog the mic for a little bit and let me share.
Yeah, my pleasure. Rad stuff, man. And like I said, I can't wait. So everybody, go to Kickstarter.com. You can find the MONSTORS Kickstarter there. They're on Big Bad Toy Store. You are on Instagram and all over the place as far as social media goes. So there, we'll drop some links in the description of this video as well when it goes live. But man, like I said, best of luck, and I can't wait to see these in their final form.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Thanks,
all right,
everyone.
thanks, everybody.